keep us healthy. Let's go to 29, paragraph 29. Paragraph 29. So this says many, starts out with many, but what do I start out with? I have expected that God would keep me from sickness merely because I've asked him to do so. How many of us are in that camp? But God did not regard my prayer because my faith was not made perfect by works. God will not work a miracle to keep me from sickness when I have no care for myself, but are continually violating the laws of health and make no effort to prevent disease. You see, here we have, it is humanity and divinity working together. It's not all him and it's not all us. We do what we can do as humans. He does what he can do above and beyond what I can't do. The best that I can do is what he's instructed me to do. So I put the best food into my body, live the best lifestyle that I can, and now I leave the rest to him. When I do, this is our promise. This is a promise to you and to me. When I do all I can on my part to have health, then I may expect that the blessed results will follow. And I can ask God in faith to bless my efforts for the preservation of health. You see, now, once I actually understand that health or disease is based upon what I do and not so much what's out there, because why did no one in my church actually catch the pestilence 6 years ago, though we were all going out into the community? What's that?
Their faith was made perfect by works.
Yes. So their faith was made perfect by works. Yes, another comment here.
I have a question. Did they all wear masks or did nobody wear masks?
No one wore masks.
Okay.
They didn't help anyway. The research is pretty clear.
But that was a big question that was going around.
Yeah.
And there were some that did, some that didn't.
Some people wore masks when they were driving alone.
Oh, I know, I saw that. So trying to keep out a little teeny weeny virus with a mask is like trying to keep a mosquito out of your backyard through a chain link fence. That's what it's like. It just didn't even make sense. Yes.
So when we was required to wear a mask when we went into like doctor's offices and stuff like that, the only thing that mask did for me was flare my asthma up.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Because we're now rebreathing, what God wanted us to exhale. So when we are actually following health reform, and now our body is healthy and doing what it's supposed to do, we do not have to worry about the next pestilence. We don't have to worry about any man-made concoctions to keep us healthy. It is because of our own choice. Now, I had not been sick in many years, and my husband and I, as we were tearing out the back porch, we were supposed to have the concrete pourer come the next day, or not the concrete, the guy who was actually, we dismantled it, our old one. We had another contractor that was coming to help us build it. And he was supposed to be coming the next morning, and which was along with the cement truck. So he said, so it was 9 o'clock at night, or at 8 o'clock at night, I'm like, it's time for bed. And he's like, let's just work another hour or two, and let's just get this done because, you know, he's coming early first thing, and if we're not ready, we're going to have to pay for him to wait and do nothing. We're going to pay him an hourly rate. And I said, at 8 o'clock at night, I said, you know, honey, this is not a good idea. I said, because I don't want to get sick. And hi, welcome. And so he did talk me into it, and he said, just a few more hours. Well, here it is now, 11 o'clock at night, or it was probably 10:30, maybe 11. And I said, I've really got to get to bed. Like, I just got to go. And he's like, no, please, we're almost done. Well, we did not get to bed until 1, and I told him probably 5 times, I said, no, this is not a good idea. Guess who got sick the next day? I knew I broke the law of health. And so was I shocked that I got sick? No, I deserved what I got. So why do we blame God when we get sick when it's our own lack of following the natural laws of health? How about praising God, because I look at every single symptom, anything that goes wrong with me, it's another opportunity to get closer to the laws of health. All of them. Not just diet, but especially diet. But if you're already pretty close there, or you're already there, then what more is there? And there is always something more. No matter where we are, even where I am, there's always something more. Health reform never ends. It's our promise that God will bless our efforts. God will not work a miracle or a miraculous manner to preserve the health of me when I am taking a sure counsel to make myself sick by my careless inattention to the laws of health. You see, I do that to myself. I, who gratify my appetite and then suffer because of my intemperance and take drugs to relieve them, may be assured that God will not interpose to save health and life, which is so, what does that say? Recklessly periled. Are we thinking critically? Is this a salvational statement? I would say so, yes, as well. Because I'm being reckless, because we've already read that the laws of health are equal to the laws of life. The 10 Commandments, they're equal. When we break one, we break the other. So I would be highlighting that sentence. I would be circling recklessly. And I'd be putting an S in the margin with a circle around it. And yet, we still believe in the germ theory, when God clearly tells us it's a violation of the laws of health. The cause has produced the effect. As my last resort, I follow the directions in the Word of God and request the prayer of the elder of the church for my restoration to health. God does not see fit to answer prayers offered in behalf of me, for he knows that if I should be restored to health, I would again sacrifice it upon the altar of unhealthy appetite.
You mentioned germ theory. Would you maybe?
Meaning that because, germs like COVID, and that I am going to get it simply because it's in the air. It's because of the lack of the laws of health that my body is not able to fend it off. I'm breaking something. Jesus, he was around the lepers, but yet he never got leprosy. He never got any. He was around sick people all the time, and yet he never got sick.
A good comparison is like pests will come upon an unhealthy plant or garden, but healthy plants that get all they need will be able to resist most pets, most like bugs, and not be overcome by them,
Yeah.
But so pests are there, pests, not pets, sorry, are there to basically get rid of what's unhealthy. So the bugs in our environment, just like we're full of bacteria, so when we die, the bacteria take over and destroy the dead flesh. If we're half dead, then the bacteria in our gut like takes over.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to 31, and I'm going to read this. Had the Adventist obeyed the instructions they received and profited by our advantage, we would have been the world's object lesson of health and prosperity 6 years ago. We would have been a light on top of a hill. And again, I want to preface, there's a higher law than health, and it's love. We didn't love. We created division right along with the world. We allowed the world to tell us to hate, to divide, to divorce, to fight. And God has a higher calling for us. What if we would have been so loving and kind and accepting of anybody who ever took it or didn't, and we just welcomed everybody in, regardless of their choice? Imagine all the people who would flocked to us. But instead, we were a stench in the Lord's nostrils, the way that we handled this. We allowed the world to tell us to hate. And it was so sad to see among our own people. But I think a lot of people understand what happened, and I hope we won't be caught off guard again. And for those who were ready and were prepared to go through the fiery furnace, we did, and we were hated, we were persecuted, can't go to restaurants, can't travel, can't be around family members who had different opinions. But next time, let's live up to the highest light that God's given us, and it's love, to love each other in our differences.
Those that did. I think it was easier for those that didn't get the shot to love those that did, because it wasn't a big deal. And now if I apply it to the health message, it may be easier for those that don't accept the health message to love those that do. I don't know if that applies or not.
Maybe looking at the big picture, you might be right, but there was division on both parts, for sure. Yeah, it was a fierce battle on both sides. But I think that it was probably, if it leaned towards one way or the other, I think those who didn't get it were probably a little bit more tolerant in a small kind of way, but it was on both sides. It was a terrible, terrible situation, and we failed the test. That was our appetite test of Daniel 1. So we failed Daniel 1, we failed Daniel 2, and those who wanted to obey God in chapter 1 and 2 went through the fiery furnace, and who knows, would we be the story of redemption in chapter 4 of Daniel? Who knows? I think we'd be a lot farther along than we are now. All right, let's go to all right, we're going to let's go to 32. This is going to bring it home a little bit more. We're going to go to the second paragraph there. Go down a couple of sentences, like 3 sentences in, and it starts with those who were to participate in these games. So we're talking about a Christian race compared to a secular race here. Those who were to participate in these secular games were trained by the most severe discipline. Every indulgence that would tend to weaken the physical powers was forbidden. Luxurious food and wine were prohibited in order to promote physical vigor, fortitude, and firmness. And how many of us act like we are running a race as well? And because we're not running this physical race and we're not part of the Olympics and heading there, we just eat whatever we want. And yet these secular people treat their body better than we do. They have more of a discipline than God's people. To me, I find this a rebuke. It's God stepping on my feet and saying, I got to get on the ball. I've got to be serious about this. And then go to win the prize for such they strove, a chapter of perishable flowers, bestowed among the applause of the multitude, was considered the highest honor. If so much could be endured, so much self-denial practiced, in the hope of gaining so a worthless prize, which only one at best could obtain, how much greater should be the sacrifice, how much more willing the self-denial for an incorruptible crown and for an everlasting life. So here we are. Can you imagine? We see the people of the world running a race, living to the best of their ability. We see raw foodists out there, frugivores, fruitarians. We see the vegans, the tree huggers, that are the animal rights people that are taking health to a different level. They love Mother Earth. They love their bodies. They love the animals. And they'd rather break their leg than step on an ant. And yet we're so careless. We're careless with this body temple that God has given us. To me, it's a rebuke. All right, let's go to 35. So somebody read that paragraph. So we're number 35.
The health reform I was shown is a part of the third angel's message and is just as closely connected with it as are the arm and hand with the human body. I saw that am I personalizing it too? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I saw that I must make an advance move in this great work. I must act in concert. I am not prepared for the loud cry of the third angel.
You see how that personalization is like, it really hits the heart. Go ahead.
I have a work to do for myself, which I should not leave for God to do for me. He has left this work for me to do. It is my work. I cannot do it for, someone else. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let me cleanse myself from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God. 2 Corinthians 7:1. Gluttony is the prevailing sin, is my prevailing sin. Lustful appetite makes a slave of me, and beclouds my intellect and stupefies my moral sensibilities to such a degree that the sacred, elevated truth of God's word are not appreciated. The lower propensities have ruled over me.
So, what do you think here? What do you find here? Tell me what you found with the 10 principles that we've read.
When I read stupefies my moral sensibilities, I know I'm not as sensitive. I know my conscience is not as sensitive as it was first designed to be, Therefore, I go backward in the sentence. So therefore, I am a slave to lustful appetite.
Wow, powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So where would you say the salvational statements are?
I would suggest that statement about slavery is one, because
Yes.
if we're not statement about slavery is one, because if we're slaves of lust, then we are not slaves of God.
Yes, I would say as well. Lustful appetite makes slaves of me, makes me a slave, and beclouds my intellect and stupefies my moral sensibilities to such a degree that the sacred, elevated truths of God's word are not appreciated. I would say that's a salvational statement. So I'd be underlining or highlighting that sentence. I'd be putting an S in the column, in the outer column. And I'd also, what word would you circle? Okay, stupefied. What's another word that someone else would circle? I'd be circling the word moral. And beclouds my intellect and stupefies my moral sensibilities. You see, when I put an emphasis on moral, morality is what's right and wrong. And there is a morality associated with eating. There is a right and wrong way to eat. When God said, don't eat of that tree in the midst, he meant don't eat of it, like never, ever. So there's a moral code when it comes to eating, and when he, in Genesis 2:16 and 17, where he commands our diet. And I am going to even go one sentence above that. It says, gluttony is the prevailing sin of this age. Gluttony is my prevailing sin of this age. I am going to be circling that word sin, because this is a really good word to do a word search once you get done with the, when you get done reading it cover to cover like a novel. Where would another salvational statement be? Which one? Okay, yep. Yep, I would say so. So I am not prepared for the loud cry of the third angel. I would also say the first sentence. Because if the health reform I was shown is a part of the third angel's message. The third angel, and so the first one, I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Here we have the Adventist message and in history, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. So we're talking about the 1844 message of Daniel. And worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So do you see how that's a salvational statement all of a sudden? If we don't know what the third angel's message is, we may not understand that salvational statement.
You know, I've been mulling over this statement in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And it occurs to me that Jesus' loving nature isn't fire and brimstone.
Right.
That fire and brimstone is self-condemnation that comes when you are in God's presence.
Absolutely. And you're still in sin.
And back in Joseph's time, when his brothers saw him, it says they were tormented. It doesn't use the word tormented, but that's the word that it implies. And they didn't give up that torment until many, many, many years later. They came back to Joseph after their father died, and they were still tormented, even though he forgave them.
Yeah.
And I think there will be a lot of people that haven't accepted the Lamb's message of love, the everlasting gospel, and then when they are in his presence, it will be torment. I don't want to be there. I want to be with him, not tormented.
Yes, me too. That's why I don't care what I have to eat. I don't care what he tells me I have to do. I'm just going to do it. So it says, Babylon is fallen, that great city, drinking the wine of the wrath of her fornication. If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark. What are we talking about here? You may not understand where I'm going with this question. But I want to, I think it's Revelation 18. So who are these, if we're worshiping the beast in his image, so what's the Bible say some of these examples are? If you go to Revelation 18, it kind of tells us who these people are. So it is in 18, after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is fallen and has become the inhabitants of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath, because we've got the same language here, of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Who now are these merchants? You go down to verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore. Go to 15. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand far off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. And then go down to 23. And the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by their sorceries were all nations deceived. Who are we talking about? So we're looking at who's the sorceries? It's the medical. It's the medications. It's the drugs. What do we, when we look at pharmakeia? So we are looking at the banking system. We're looking at the food industry. We're looking at the pharmaceutical industry, political religion. SDA? Oh, the FDA. Yeah, the FDA. So sorcery in the Greek is pharmakeia, meaning medication, magic, witchcraft, druggist, poisoner, pharmacy, and pharmaceuticals, which are modern terms for pharmakeia. So here we have a direct application of the third angel's message of who these people are. And they are the merchants of the world. So here we have a food industry that doesn't care about our health, and we have a healthcare industry that doesn't care about our food. And so they feed into each other, and they are making rich off of us being sick. It becomes pretty clear that health reform is linked to the third angel's message. Very closely linked and directly linked. So I would say that is definitely a salvational statement. All right, let's, so God is giving us appeal here as we keep moving on. Now let's go to 38. Who would like to read the first two, we're going to read the first two paragraphs, but who'd like to read the first paragraph? Linda, would you like to read it? You want to hand the microphone to Linda? Oh, okay.
It is of great importance that individually
Is it individually?
I act my part and have an intelligent understanding of what I should eat and drink and how I should live to preserve health. I am being proved to see whether I will accept the principles of health reform or follow a course of self-indulgence.
So here we are now being proved. Where's your salvational statement? All are being proved. I am being proved to see whether I will accept the principles of health reform or follow a course of self-indulgence. I'd say that's a salvational statement. All right, who would like to read the second? So I'd be putting the circle out on the margin with an S in it. And this is also an appeal to educators. All means all people. That means you and me, including all educators, and because God hates a hypocrite. He doesn't want us to be teaching one thing and then living another. Many times we think that our words are meant for somebody else or for the sick. But because I'm not sick, it doesn't pertain to me. But that's not true. Because, see, health reform wasn't given to us by God in order to be healthy or to have longevity. We've talked about that before. But instead, he gave it to us that we may prove who we belong to. We eat according to how God has commanded us to eat. It's not your opinion or my opinion. What does he command? In Genesis 2:16 and 17. We are being proved. So I went through from Genesis to Revelation, gave several examples of all different people who have been proved through diet. We went from Adam and Eve. We went into the Exodus to the flood. Well, the flood first, the Exodus. We went to Daniel, Daniel 1, Daniel 4, Daniel 8, the 2300-day prophecy, the cleansing of the body sanctuary. We looked at Jesus, John the Baptist. We look at all of them who have a diet test. We looked at Revelation 3:21, where this church of Laodicea also has a diet test. You see, the evidence is just literally overwhelming that we have a diet test as well. Who would like to read that next paragraph?
Let no one think that,
Is it no one?
let me, Wayne Renfro, think that he can do as I please in the matter of diet, but before all who sit at the table with me, let it appear that I myself, follow principle in the matter of eating, as in all other matters, that the glory of God may be revealed. Can we continue?
Yep.
I cannot afford to do otherwise, for I have a character to form for the future of a moral life. Great responsibilities rest upon myself, human soul. Let us comprehend these responsibilities.
So is it let us?
Let Wayne comprehend these responsibilities and bear them nobly in the name of the Lord.
Yes. So what do you think about that? Is there a salvational statement in there? Which one? Okay, yes. Yes, excellent. So what's another? What's another salvational statement there? I'd say the first sentence. Let no one think that he can do as he pleases in the matter of diet. Let me not think that I can do as I please in the matter of diet. So I'd be underlining that or highlighting. I'd be putting an S with a circle around it in the margin. Now, what words would you circle here? So one word that will really accentuate the sentence or what's trying to be said here. Anywhere in that paragraph. Okay, read it. Okay. Cannot? I like that. I cannot afford to do otherwise. I like that, yes. That's a good one. I would also say great responsibility rests upon every human soul, rests upon me. Great responsibility. All right, let's go to, okay, let's go to number 41. We're going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go to the 4th paragraph in that section there. Who would like to read that? Okay.
Those who have received.
So is it those?
Read it first person.
First person.
I who have received instruction regarding the evils of the use of flesh foods, tea and coffee, and rich and unhealthful food preparations, and I am determined to make a covenant with God by sacrifice, will not continue to indulge my appetite for food that I have known to be unhealthful. God demands that the appetites be cleansed, that my appetite be cleansed, and that self-denial be practiced in regard to those things which are not good. This is a work that will have to be done before I can stand before him in a perfected person.
Whew. Where's the salvational statement there? Yes. I would say that entire paragraph. Yes.
This is a covenantal statement. I am determined. This is a covenantal statement up there. It says, I am determined to make a covenant with God by sacrifice and will not continue to indulge my appetite for food that I know to be unhealthful.
Powerful. And notice that God demands. I'd be circling that word demands. God demands that the appetites be cleansed.
He definitely demanded it for Adam and Eve.
Yes, exactly.
He's going to demand it from perfect people. Obviously, he's going to demand it from us.
So God demands that I cleanse my appetite and that my self-denial be practiced in regard to those things which are not good. And this is a work that I have to be done before I can stand before him a perfect person. Wow. So that's why I say that in order to be part of the 144,000, or I should say it the other way around, that the 144,000 will be health reformers. They will tame their appetite. Yes?
This is a bigger issue than we maybe think about, because before humans were created, there was a battle going between good and evil, between God and Satan. And I don't know how God created the angels, but apparently he created them with long lives. Satan told them, you will not surely die. Well, they died. He is still around. He sinned long before that. But God made a race of people that were extremely dependent. We're dependent on air we breathe, on the food we eat, on sleep. We're dependent on all of these different things. And I believe that God did this to bring the battle to a conclusion, so that we, with God living in us, as we follow his rules which seem very restrictive. You know, you have to do this, you can't do that. But in doing that, we are demonstrating to ourselves, to those around us, and to the world the blessing that comes from walking in God's favor, His way, doing it His way. And so we're actually fighting this great controversy even when we don't know it. We're still involved in that battle.
Yeah, amazing, beautifully said. The next paragraph, the remnant people of God, I must be a converted people. I must be converted. The presentation of this message is to result in the conversion and sanctification of souls. That's a salvational statement. So are you guys picking up on these salvational statements much easier now? You're starting to see the pattern here. And when you look at every single statement here, ask yourself, is this a salvational statement? And we see again and again that it is, not just from this book, but I've been giving it to you all week through the Bible. I am to feel the power of the Spirit of God in this movement. This is a wonderful, definite message. It means everything to the receiver, and it is to be proclaimed with a loud cry. And the key point, we must, I'd be circling that word must. It means it's not optional, it's mandatory that we must have a true, abiding faith that this message will go forth with increasing importance till the close of time. See, this counsel was written in 1909, and our health reform is a prophetic message. It has everything to do with the end times, everything. All right, let's now go to let's go to number 45. Somebody read the first half of that paragraph.
Paragraph 1. Said the angel, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul. 1 Peter 2:11. I have stumbled at the health reform. It appears to me to be a needless appendix to the truth. It is not so. It is a part of the truth. Here is a work before me which will come closer and be more trying than anything which has yet been brought to bear upon me. While I hesitate and stand back, failing to lay hold upon the blessings which it is my privilege to receive, I suffer loss. I am stumbling over the very blessing which heaven has placed in my path to make progress less difficult. Satan presents this before me in the most objectionable light, that I may combat that which would prove the greatest benefit to me, which would be for my physical and spiritual health.
And so here we have Satan presenting before us the most objectionable light, Satan's war on fruit. You see, fruit is God's food for his end time people. It's when we get to heaven, that's what we're eating again, because that's what Revelation 22:2 says. So of course, Satan wants to mess with the fruit as much as possible, and he wants to do everything he can to degrade it. And did you know that Satan has a counterfeit for every truth that God has? Everything. So even if we are on, even for the Garden of Eden diet, there's a counterfeit. It's the high-fat, raw diet. God's diet is the low-fat, high-fruit diet. Satan's counterfeit, oh yeah, you want to be raw? No problem. Just have all the fat you want, but just don't eat a lot of fruit. It's okay. You see, God has a counterfeit for everything. I mean, Satan has a counterfeit for everything. Sorry, Lord. What's that? What's raw? Oh, yeah. So avocados, nuts, seeds, olives, hemp hearts, chia, flax. So a diet that's very high in these kinds of fats. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just that it's not in accordance to it's the wrong proportions. Yeah, exactly. And what do vegans do? What do most of us do when we go to a vegan diet? Well, where do I get my protein?
Everyone asks, even when you start a vegetable plant-based, is where do you get your protein from?
Yes, and people generally go to a high-starch diet if they're a vegan, and everything's cooked, rather than a high-fruit diet, which I showed you the food guide pyramid. You guys remember that? So we have to be, and I fell in that trap too, because I actually did that for a year, and it just kind of grated on me. It just, something wasn't right. So I maintained what I thought was the ideal diet, because nothing was cooked in the garden. And it just didn't sit well with me. And then I started reading the research again, as I continually do, and I came across another article that showed even an all-fat diet, even if it's plant-based, increases the risk of disease. So it was, when I started reading that again, I'm like, something's just not right here. So I went off of the raw diet, lowered my fat, increased my fruit, and then I started to add more beans and a few grains here and there, so in order to reduce my fat. Because I wasn't really for sure. I didn't know anybody who ate like the Garden of Eden, this high fruit diet. And as I'm teaching it in Kenya again and again and again, because every week I'm at a new place to teach, and I'm there for months and months at a time, and God keeps convicting me. It's fruit. It's fruit. It's fruits and greens. And I kept hearing it out of my voice and into my ears and back into my brain as I'm kind of processing, as I'm teaching. And I'm processing this as I am, come on up, Danny. So I'm processing it as I'm speaking it out of my voice, and I'm learning in my head. And God keeps telling me it's high fruit. That's the Garden of Eden diet, especially when I was talking about Nebuchadnezzar. And I was just like, I can't believe it. I've been missing it, and I've been teaching it. And so I started on a journey of trying to find other people who found this kind of diet. And so I calculated, before I ever found these other people, I calculated it was about, so I started looking up mother's milk and the comparison. That's when we take the greatest amount of nourishment, because we're doing the greatest amount of growing during that time. And I started comparing it to fruit, and started, and I'm just like, wow, God actually provided that for us right in the garden, and I just like missed it. Because God provided the perfect first food for humans, human breast milk. It's not cow's milk, it's human milk. We don't, because we're not trying to grow a baby cow, that's going to gain 400 pounds, throughout a year. We're trying to grow a human that grows a lot slower. And so I'm like, God, it seems like we should be having less than 10% fat, less than 10% protein, and at least 80% carbohydrates that are high fruit. And I'm like, Lord, who on this planet, there's got to be other people who found what I found. I found them, but I found them in the secular world. And you guys want to learn about this diet? It's amazing. This is a secular man who wrote this. It's an 80-10-10 diet. It's the Garden of Eden diet. And he doesn't even know it. I'm actually going to meet him in probably another 6 weeks. I'm going down as a mission to meet him. I'm going to a fruit fest in California, and I'm going to meet the author. I'm going to meet many others who eat like this, and I'll probably be the only Adventist. And I'm looking forward to it. And yeah. That's right. Yeah, because she knows him too, and she's actually met him already. And so if you want to, he's got a lot of common sense, and it totally makes sense. It's amazing. I can't recommend this book enough. It just spoke to me. I'm just like, every single page, he talks about how we are designed. He's not even a Christian. I think he's New Age. But I don't know. Oh, Jew, that's right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's very practical. But he uses the words like designed, our body was designed. Yeah, yeah. And it's just so right on. And I'm glad that I found what I found before I found this. So this confirms to me, as I've read his book, I'm almost done with it, it confirms to me that I'm on the right track. And of course, I also took a class on this kind of a diet as well, because I've been learning from a couple other doctors who are very scientific, and teaching this kind of diet. And this kind of diet is fully solid in the research as well. So I had to know from a secular viewpoint, through research, that this diet was not going to hurt me or people. I had to know from a spiritual viewpoint, from the Bible, that it was solid. I had to learn how to deal with the people around me who eat different than me. I had to deal with, I had to learn about this, I had a lot of hurdles that I personally had to overcome, in order to learn more about this and to start implementing it. And it's amazing. I'll tell you a little testimony. So I started eating like this. I've already been kind of on this journey for 14 years. I've been teaching a lot longer, but this particular kind of diet of Eden for 14, 15 years now. And so I've already been on that journey. I've been researching it, looking at it, thinking about it, praying about it, changing my own diet a lot over the past 14, 15 years. And 10 years ago, I ended up with shingles right here because I had so many just major life events coming at me all at the same time. And it just was so much for my head comprehend. It was just too much for me. And I ended up with shingles, and I've had neuropathy for 10 years now here, where and I thought it was permanent. And I ended up changing to this diet 3.5 months ago, probably almost 4 months ago now, and my neuropathy's gone, just totally gone. After 10 years, I can touch it now, I can scratch it. No, it just feels just like my other one now. It's amazing. I used to, you know, on somewhat of a routine basis, I'd be up in the kitchen. I have a storage, food storage downstairs, and so I'd be up in the kitchen. Oh, I need some onion powder because I'm almost out. So I'd run downstairs. At the bottom of the stairs, I'd be like, what did I come down here for? And I had to run back upstairs, retrace my steps. What was I going downstairs for? Oh, yeah, it's onion powder. And I'd get down there and get my onion powder. I mean, I would do that a lot. And I'd be going to a room somewhere. I'd be like, why am I in this room? and I'd have to retrace my steps. Like, why did I go in there? And I don't do that anymore. It's like it's just cleared up my brain so much. When I wake up in the morning, I am ready to take on the world. I feel good. I feel like I am ready for whatever God has for me for the day. My head has become crystal clear. My spiritual acumen has increased. And plus, God has been calling me to this kind of diet for quite some time, but I finally obeyed, and now I kick myself for having not done it sooner. It's like, what was I so afraid of? You know, it's right there in the Garden of Eden. Do I think that he would have given me, you know, something that would hurt me, you know, nutritionally? No. Everything we need is right there in our fruits and our greens and a few nuts and seeds. It's amazing. I just can't tell you the joy. And I think part of my joy too, and just that washing of his Spirit of peace that passes all understanding has just washed over me, and it's amazing. But I also think some of that is finally because I've implemented what he's been asking me to do, you know, and it's just, I can't recommend it enough. I don't recommend it doing it overnight. Give yourself time, learn about it, study, contact me. I'm happy to help you along. It's not an all or a none. You don't have to get there tomorrow or next week. You know, allow yourself to learn and to grow into it. It's taken me a few years, but I am hoping that through this education, because we are so far close to the end of time, we don't have a lot of time to be working on our diet. Because we've talked about with Nebuchadnezzar, God tells us to go from the city to the country, to a retired home, to heaven, and there's one other place between our retirement home and heaven. And where is that? The wilderness. And what is our diet test? Our diet test is the Garden of Eden diet. It's amazing how it just all fits together like a hand in a glove. Am I the only one who sees it? Well, every single grocery store has fruit and greens and... Oh, the wilderness. Okay. Barks and twigs. Yeah, but we are assured that our bread and water will be sure. So we will not starve to death. We are told that we will go hungry, but we will not starve. That's going to be part of our test as well. That if we're not used to fasting at a moment's notice, we might be like the Israelites and run back to Egypt again. I want to give you some encouragement in number 46. 46, the second sentence. Well, we'll start with the first. The Lord calls for volunteers to enter his army. Sickly men and women need to become health reformers. God will cooperate with his children, or me, or you, in preserving my health if I eat with care, refusing to put unnecessary burdens on my stomach. He has graciously made the path of nature sure and safe, wide enough for me to walk in it. He has given for me sustenance, the wholesome and health-giving production of the earth. He or I, when I do not heed the instructions God has given in his word and in his works, I who do not obey the divine commands has a defective experience. I am a sickly Christian. My spiritual life is feeble. I live, but my life is devoid of fragrance. I fritter away precious moments of grace. And then go down into the middle of that next paragraph where it says, in the judgment, we shall see how serious God regards the violation of the laws of health. Wow. In the judgment. And we are in that pre-judgment right now. Your life and my life is being judged right now by the unfallen worlds and the unfallen angels to prove who we belong to. So that gives you a little bit of a taste of how to better read this book. The next chapter is absolutely amazing. Diet and spirituality, and then the next one is health reform and the third angel's message. Dynamic chapters. So now we skipped over a lot of salvational statements. It wasn't my intent to go over them, every single one of them. So now take more care, now that you've got lots of examples of making it first person. This is a study book, not to be read at night. It is, you make it the first person, you underline and personalize it, those things that affect you, as well as the salvation, anything that's salvational. You highlight it with an S with a circle around it. Let's, I wanted to show you also, let's see, maybe it's here. Here it is. So I have pulled up here, I have Counsels on Diet and Foods here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go over some of these quotes. We're going to do a word search. We're not going to go over all of them because there's 191 of them. We'd be here for quite a while, but some of these don't really apply as much, but we can start getting a pretty good indicator by searching the word never. As I said, you know, we can also search by a word, by not only just a word, but we also can search by a topic. So what I want to do is, this says that there's 110. My app says there's 91. So some of these are actually not the full word never. I wonder if I could do this a little bit differently. Where do I put that search? Oh, here it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the quote. I wonder if that'll help. Like that? Oh, single quote? Oh, get rid of the quotes. space. Like that? Now quotes. Okay? Okay. Oh. Oh. Yeah, okay. All right, so what I want to do is, I'm really sad that my computer wouldn't pull up here because I've got the Spirit of Prophecy CD downloaded, DVD downloaded onto my computer, and it's all marked. And it's really easy for me just to flip through them really fast because I've got everything color-coded. So it might not take as, maybe we can do it, I'm not sure how to do this now. So let me start, I don't know where I am here. Oh, page 261. Huh, it's not working. Not working. All right, so we're just going to start going to chapters here, or paragraphs. Let's start with, so remember, I'm not going to the page numbers. I'm talking about the number, the paragraph number. So let's just go to 285. And we're doing a word search, so we're looking for the word never. What we're going to be doing is kind of building a little database of the nevers of God's health reform. Now remember, how does God define never? Never ever. He says, don't ever, never touch that tree. Don't eat of it, don't touch of it. And when he says that you can touch of any other tree in the garden, that's fine. But don't touch of that one. Never, ever, ever. So when we see the word never, it means never. Okay? So who would like to read to the paragraph of 285? Okay.
I am astonished to learn that after the light that has been given in this place, many of I or you?
So
Many of me eat between meals. I should never let a morsel pass my lips between my regular meals. Eat what I ought, but eat it at one meal, and then will until the next.
Okay, and then wait until the
until
next. So it says you should never let a morsel pass your lips between your regular meals. That means not a crumb, not an almond, not a raisin, not a bite of an apple, nothing. So we're looking at what are the nevers of God's health reform. We're not going to go through all of them, but we're going to go through some of them. But what do you think about that? Yep, me too. So I would be circling that word. So never Let a morsel pass between our lips, between meals. Let's go to 290. It is quite a common custom with people of the world to eat 3 times a day, beside eating at irregular intervals between meals, and the last meal is generally the most hearty and is often taken just before retiring. This is reversing the natural order. A hearty meal should never be taken so late in the day. Should these persons change their practice and eat but 2 meals a day and nothing between meals, not even an apple, a nut, or any kind of fruit, the result would be seen in a good appetite and greatly improved health. So never should we have our late meal. So we know that when we work with our anatomy and physiology, that the metabolism is fastest in the morning, and then as the day moves on, it gets a little bit slower and slower. So we eat our largest meal for breakfast. Our second meal would be our second largest, and if we eat a third meal, it would be our smallest, like 10% of our calories. So if I'm on about 1,500 calories, that's about 150 calories, 200 calories, somewhere around there. That would be like 1.5 to 2 bananas. Or 3 cups of blueberries would be about each cup and a half of blueberries is about 100 calories. So 200 calories would be about 3 cups of blueberries. And our counsel is to have fruit and grain, but not vegetables, because they take too long to digest. So I would imagine that does not include, though, the leafy greens, because they can actually be combined with fruit. But I would tend to think that it would not include beans or nuts. And so when we look at research about eating our largest meal at night, these people generally have higher rates of nightmares, of restless leg syndrome, of heart attacks first thing in the morning. And did you know that most of the heart attacks happen first thing in the morning statistically? And it's because of big, heavy meals at night. And plus, then people aren't drinking water, so now our blood slows down, our whole system wants to slow down and sleep overnight, and it's being forced to stay awake, our digestion is, and the blood gets thicker naturally as we sleep because everything's calming down, and we wake up in the morning and we don't drink water and we don't eat, and everything is still sluggish in there from the night before. And when everything is sluggish and now we're running around that morning, we have a higher risk of heart attack because there's nothing that has been to thin out our blood. So instead, if we take water first thing in the morning, it can help to thin out our blood. When we have breakfast, and then I have a snack, that snack causes breakfast to actually stop digesting until it's all caught up. And now I have my lunch, and now everything prior stops digesting until lunch catches up. And now I have a snack in the afternoon, and now everything prior to that slows down. And then I eat supper, and everything slows down prior to that for the rest of the day I was eating. And like me, I used to eat before I went to bed, and so I would eat before I go to bed, and now everything is backed up from the entire day, instead of allowing the digestion a nice, simple rest. And now I go to sleep, and I wake up in the morning, and the x-ray shows I still have food from breakfast the morning before in my stomach. And now it's all rotted, it is fermented, it is disgusting and gross, and we would not want to continue to digest that if our stomach had a glass door to it. We would want to upchuck it. But instead, now our body is forced to try to make good blood and good nerves and healthy organs and function in our body, but now it's forced to use muck. And then we wonder why we're sick. You see, there's always, when we start looking at cause to effect, it all starts to make sense. Let's go to 363. We're looking for the word never. But even health reformers can err in the quantity of food. They can eat immoderately of a healthful quality of food. Some of this house err in the quality. They have never taken their position upon health reform. So we can be eating of the most nutritious foods, and we can still overeat, and God does not consider us a health reformer if we're overeating. How do we know if we're overeating? If we're gaining weight, we're overeating. Maybe not getting enough exercise. Yes? Oh, got to use a microphone.
And the people were nice people, and we ate with them. My dad and I did. You know, we were working out in the building and came to eat with them. But the thing that was really interesting to me, I knew they were health reformers, but I looked at their plates. It looked like that's twice as much food that I could eat, and I was a young guy with this tremendous appetite, and these were middle-aged, later people. It's like they're eating tons of food. I don't know how they could even get that much down. And it was a real turnoff to me. You know, it's like, really? This is a health reformer? No, thanks.
Wow. Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. But I want to say that when we eat primarily fruits and greens and vegetables, the quantity of food is a lot more because you have to get a lot more calories. Because people often ask me, where do you put all that food that you eat? Because I eat these giant salads, large plates of food, of fruit, but if I didn't eat that much, I'd be losing weight. And then, according to God's definition, I'd be an extremist, because then I'd be like anorexic. So it depends on also what was on their plate. Okay. Oh, yeah. 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 So.
Eat a whole pound of spinach or a whole pound of greens, and you get about 100 calories.
Yeah, exactly.
And a whole pound of spinach is those big, large buckets you get at Costco.
Yeah.
Imagine how many plates of spinach you have, to eat that much.
Yeah, because it's about a pound of greens is about 100 calories. Yeah, so that's not very much. And so you can see you got to have large salads and then lots of fruit or whatever else you're eating in order to make up for those extra calories. All right, let's go to 496. It's in the third paragraph. Bread should be light and sweet. Not the least taint of sourness should be tolerated. The loaves should be small and so thoroughly baked that as far as possible the yeast germs shall be destroyed. When hot or new, raised bread of any kind is difficult of digestion. It should never appear on the table. This rule does not, however, apply to unleavened bread. Fresh rolls made of wheaten meal without yeast or leaven and baked in a well-heated oven are both wholesome and palatable. So another one of God's nevers when it comes to health reform is hot yeast bread. What a lot of people do is they put it into their freezer for 48 hours and then bring it back out again, because we have to make sure that the yeast is dead. Otherwise, that yeast goes now into our body and now starts creating havoc. And now we can start having health problems. Let's go to number 503. Are you kind of getting the picture here of God's nevers of health reform? So 503, hot biscuits raised with soda or baking powder should never appear on our tables. So baking powder, baking soda, even though, again, health reformers and health educators, health-minded people have been targeted when it comes to baking soda. Take a teaspoon or whatever it is, a half a teaspoon of baking soda every single morning on an empty stomach, or take it with your food. That's what's being taught. And yet it is ruining people's digestion. And it makes it very difficult to digest food because it actually changes the pH. And we need a very acidic environment to break down our food. Let's go to 524. We're going to go to the second paragraph. In their season, we have grapes in abundance, also prunes and apples and some cherries, peaches, pears, and olives, which we prepare ourselves. We also grow a large quantity of tomatoes. I never make excuses for the food that is on my table. I do not think I do not think God is pleased to have us do so. Our visitors eat as we do and appear to enjoy our bill of fare. When we eat the way that we do, God is displeased when we make apology for how we eat. No, we just eat the way that we eat and we be happy and proud and thank God for it. One of the topical discussions or searches that we can also do is how do we govern health reform? How do we speak about it? How do we think about it? Such as diet should never be a test of membership. There's another wonderful quote. We're going to go to 588. 588, the first sentence. So how do we present health reform? I'm kind of moving off into a different topic than the never, but because of this other one, that I never make excuses for the food that is on my table, I'm learning how to present health reform to different people. How am I supposed to think about it? 588, we must remember that there are a great many different minds in the world, and we cannot expect everyone to see exactly as we do in regard to all questions of diet. So when someone thinks differently than you do, or I do, it just is the way it is. We don't need to bash each other. We don't need to gossip about them. We don't need to finger point. And you know, what God wants us to do is just teach the truth. It just is what it is. We don't spend time on running somebody else down. Okay, if I choose not to listen to someone because because we have differences of opinion, I don't run them down and I don't go publicly, saying, things about them. That's not God's way. Minds do not run in exactly the same channel. This is really good. I do not eat butter, but there are members of my family who do. It is not placed on my table, but I make no disturbance because some members of my family choose to eat it occasionally. Next paragraph, or I guess same paragraph. Many of our conscientious brethren have butter on their tables, and I feel under no obligation to force them to do otherwise. These things should never be allowed to cause disturbance among brethren. Never. Health reform should never come between two people. God wants us to love each other in our differences. It doesn't matter if someone's eating pigs and snakes. It makes no difference. We can be concerned about their health, but as far as standing in the place of the Holy Spirit, that's not our job. We simply educate the intellect, and then we allow them to choose and make their own decision. It's not up to me. And when we take this to heart, now I am taken out of the middle. And so when they want to come against me in what I believe that is truth, then I've removed myself. Because now, because I take my stuff directly from the Bible, I give no opinion of myself, and I have found what I found, and now it's not against me when they say something against me. It's now against the author of these wonderful books. It's not me, so I don't have to take it personal. I don't have to get defensive. I don't have to defend myself. I just simply share what I share, and if someone doesn't want to agree, it's okay. And I wish that our people would do this more often. Because so many times it's my way or no way, and you have to believe me if we're going to be friends. It doesn't have to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. So diet should never be a test of membership. We need to allow people their own convictions and their own conscience. And had someone told me today what I know today and told me 10 years ago, I probably wasn't ready for it. Was I wrong 10 years ago because I'm not where I am today? No, I wasn't wrong back then. That's just where I was. I was learning everything that I could. I was asking God for more. I was not rejecting any light. I was not in rebellion. I just simply wasn't there yet. So somebody on more of the Garden of Eden diet may have said that I was slothful. Well, that's not very nice. So we don't want to say that to other people who aren't where we are. Those who love and serve God should be allowed to follow their own convictions. We may not feel justified in doing as they do, but we should not allow differences of opinion to create disunion. And then if you go down to 589, I cannot see but that you are trying your best to live out the principles of health reform. Study economy in everything, but do not withhold from the diet food which the system needs. With regard to the nut foods, there are many who cannot eat them. If your husband enjoys dairy butter, let him eat it until he is convicted that it is not best for his health. You see, you let the Lord convict our spouses and our adult children. And even if we are trying to change the diet of our younger children, we need to allow the Lord to work in their heart in order that they can have that relationship with God. It's not do as I say. We teach people, and then we just let them be where they're going to be. It's not between you and me whether you accept or reject this message. Either way, it has nothing to do with me. I just happen to be the one speaking, but it's the Holy Spirit who actually convicts. I can't take credit for that. It's the Holy Spirit. And so after reading things like this, I've never told my husband what to eat or not eat. It's not my job. I lead by example. We do the greatest medical missionary work at the table. And he can see how I eat, what I prepare. And if he wants to get something different, he's more than welcome to do that. It's not that I'm giving him permission. He doesn't need my permission. He already has permission. It's not his job to tell me, and it's not my job to tell him how to eat. So I lead by example. He leads by example. And if he wants to go to Burger King, I can pray for him in private, but I still love him. I don't love him. I mean, he doesn't eat there, of course, but I don't love him based upon what he eats. And we need to let our spouses, our children, our church members, other people, that we love them no matter what they eat. It doesn't matter. We have a higher calling than health reform, and that is one of love. We must love each other in our differences. Let's go to 575. I think that, what time should we end here? Is it 7:30? Is that the time that we end? I can't remember. Yeah, so we'll just end with this one, 575. So 575, the mince pies and the pickles, which should never find a place in any human stomach, will give a miserable quality of blood. You see the nevers starting to come out now just by this simple word search? So once you're all done reading the book cover to cover, start doing some different word searches that may interest you. You can do the same ones I've done, like sin and never. You can do fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, nuts, like I did, and come out with your own food guide pyramid. You can start doing topical searches. Beyond that, you can start searching maybe when the history of how Ellen White, she progressed in her diet. There's so many different topics in this wonderful book that gives us such clarity. So because someone said something to me, I do want to go to number 741. Because I want to actually show you. This isn't the only place, but this is one of the places. Here, 741. Because I also did a word search on sin in this book. Tea and coffee drinking is a sin. Someone asked me about this, so I wanted to make sure that you saw this. An injurious indulgence which, like other evils, injures the soul. Would you say that's a salvational statement? Wow. So tea and coffee. These darling idols, first commandment, create an excitement, a morbid action of the nervous system, and after the immediate influence of the stimulants is gone, it lets down below par just to that degree that its stimulating properties elevated above par. So as it elevates us, it takes us down below par to the same equal value or point that it elevated us. And that's pretty high. All right, I just wanted to make sure that you saw that. Any other comments or questions? So this is going to be the end of our series, and I'm going to be heading to the airport as soon as we leave here. And I did promise one other thing, and I want to show this to you. This is, let's see. This is the health pledge. I told you that I would read this to you. The health pledge, we're told that people should be taking a health pledge because Ellen White says, who among you will take a health pledge? And so there is not one written, so I wrote one, and what I did was I just went to the Spirit of Prophecy, and this just comes right out of the Bible in the Spirit of Prophecy. So let's read this together as our ending point. Transgression of physical law is the transgression of the moral law. All are being proved to see whether we'll accept the principle of the health reform or follow a course of self-indulgence. Let no one think that he can do as he pleases in the matter of diet. God demands that the appetite be cleansed and self-denial be practiced in regards to these things which are not good. This is a work that will have to be done before his people can stand before him a perfect people. The Lord has given clear light regarding the nature of the food that is to compose our diet. He has instructed us concerning the effect of unhealthful food upon the disposition and character. Shall we respond to the counsel and cautions given? Who among our brethren will sign a pledge to dispense with flesh meats, tea, coffee, and all injurious foods, and become health reformers in the truest sense of the term? We are coming to the time when recipes for cooking will not be needed, for God's people will learn that the food that God gave Adam in his sinless state is the best for keeping the body in a sinless state. Grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables constitute the diet chosen for us by our Creator. These foods, prepared in as simple and natural a manner as possible, are the most healthful and nourishing. So those are all quotes, and then what I did was I went through all of the nevers of health reform and all the things that are destroying our soul, and I'm more than happy to send this to you if you would like it. So just let me know if you would like it. And so everything here in the bottom now is those things that war against the soul. I solemnly promise before God to progressively, it's progressive now, to move along the path of abstaining from all tobacco, tea, except herbal, coffee and caffeine-containing foods and beverages, liquor, illicit drugs, rich cakes, animal flesh and products such as cheese, butter, and cream, rich gravies and desserts, spices, which include cinnamon, cloves, black pepper, chili powder, curry powder, nutmeg, horseradish, allspice, cayenne, ginger, fine flour, injurious condiments like ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise, vinegar, mince pies, saleratus, which is baking powder, baking soda, processed sugars and oils, because oil is not a health food, all processed foods, too much salt, and to abstain from overeating and eating between meals, and to lovingly and patiently invite and inspire others to do the same. Are you overwhelmed now? You bet. Yeah, so send me a text message requesting the health pledge, and I'm happy to send it. Yes, that is my phone number. So you can catch me on WhatsApp or text message. It's 604 on the very bottom, 604-556-1622. Let me pull this up. Oh, I can't. What is it? Control plus. There we go. So there's my email, and my website is progressivelyraw.com as well. Dr. Doug Graham. Yeah, it's got the little peach in the front. Anybody wants to take a picture of it? What's that? It works out to minimum of 80% carbohydrates, most of that from fruit, a maximum of 10% protein, calories, and maximum of 10% fat from calories. So that's the 80-10-10. I call it the Garden of Eden diet. The secular version is the 80-10-10. How many of you would like to take that health pledge to progressively move towards it? It's not an all or a none. Praise God. All of heaven is rejoicing. What kind of comments, questions about anything do you have in these last minutes? Tell me what you've learned from any part of the series, any part of today, Counsels on Diet and Foods, anything that you've appreciated.
Well, I, for one, learned a lot in this summary you've done here for us, and I'm actually going to try my best to change my ways.
Yay, throw confetti.
It was just kind of a reflection that I had, and maybe an encouragement for some people. I remember when I started this last June, that for me it felt really scary. Even though I was mostly eating raw, I was very attached to the feeling that even just a couple pieces of very healthy gluten-free bread or beans gave me at the end of the day, it seemed to just like settle me, made me feel like I would be able to sleep. But when I didn't have that, it made me feel like I always needed something else, something else, something else. And it just felt very scary to go without. It almost felt similar to fasting. And I really disliked the first couple nights of like a fast because, I mean, those are the hardest one to go through. So it felt like always going through the first night of a fast. But I just knew that this was God's will, that I had to do this, and so I yielded to conviction. I didn't hesitate, because the longer you hesitate, the more you mount up arguments in your head for why you shouldn't do it, or why you should wait another week or another week, And then I just knew that He promises strength for today. Instead of trying to make it be like, I'm going to do this for a week, or I'm going to do this for 2 weeks. I just said, I'm going to do this for today. Kind of like fasting in a way. And I'm just going to do this for today. I'll get through today. And I prayed for strength every day for today. And while you were talking, you didn't even allude to that, but for some reason I connected it to how He provided manna, which was the perfect food, the health reform food of that day, on a daily basis. They could have panicked and said, well, what are we going to do tomorrow? There was only enough for today. Well, He provided that manna daily for their health reform. And so,
Except Friday.
well, yeah, He provided twice. Yeah. But what I mean is He didn't make them at any point not have enough. He always provided enough. And that's what I have experienced through this. And the other fear was just how can I find enough fruit? Sometimes all ripe at the same time. Here, But it's then He gave me wisdom on how to plan it so some things would ripen according to when I would need them. And it's just He ordered my steps. He provided in
Mm.
ways I didn't think could happen. So.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes.
I just had a real short question. I saw pickles come up there. What about lemon juice-based pickles? Now, I
Yeah,
realize...
there's no problem with lemon juice pickles. The problem is with the vinegar.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And so the salt will be spread out, like say if you have a potato salad, it's going to be spread out through the whole thing, so that would not be an issue either if you did it with moderation.
Yeah, and I make lemon pickles, and they're absolutely delicious.
Okay.
Yeah, they're refrigerator pickles.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody else, tell me what you've learned, something you've appreciated.
Well, I've appreciated all 10 or 9 seminars we've attended. I've learned something in every single one of them. And there's just great counsel for all of us. And it's a progressive walk. And I'm looking forward to starting my journey.
All right, praise God. Somebody else, tell me what you've learned. Danny.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever supposed to stop learning. When we stop learning, we start dying, right?
Yeah.
I'm not quite ready for that part yet. So, yeah, when you talked about fasting, that was one that I really found very interesting because we talked about that. I have fasted before for health reasons, but the spiritual aspect came in as you do the health fast. It's like everything slows down, and it's like you have more clarity, you're calmer, and you just feel at peace. It's a great time to study and even not study if you just want to go out in nature and just not be in a rush to do anything. I found it to be a real blessing. But every lesson, everything you've said there's something there that I can learn from, and I haven't watched all of them. Fortunately, they're recorded, so I'm going back and watching through some of them because I wasn't able to attend some of the meetings. But I want to learn more because everything we learn only helps if we're willing to do it. And that's the challenge. I've met the enemy, and it's me.
Wow.
Only God can do it, and only I can let him. That's the challenge right there, if I get out of the way.
Yes. That's the attitude of the 144,000, is willing to do anything. Yeah, we just got to get out of the way.
Just along that note, I think it's really beautiful that he calls the 144,000 his first fruits.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Who would like to end us with prayer? All right. Let us kneel. Thank you, Craig.
Gracious and loving Father, we are so thankful for all the time that Dr. Janie has provided and given us this message. We are our own worst enemy. We get in our own way, and I pray that you would just help and encourage each person here to begin this health walk and to encourage each other. And we just thank you for your counsel, and I pray that we would all take it to heart and be good health reformers and be good witnesses and examples for you. We ask for safe travels and traveling mercies for Dr. Janie as she heads back tonight. And we pray these things through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Feel free to contact anybody. I'd love to hear from you, and I wish you the best.